Happy holidays. So I know a lot of you are going through it right now, especially if you're in PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. I am Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. I've been suffering with PMDD for over 18 years now, and I created a program called My Partner Has PMDD, Now What? And it's giving your partner the exact tools on how to be a supportive PMDD partner so that you have less stress in your PMDD relationship. So, right now, for the month of December, the next 7 days, I am giving you 50% off. I talked to you before about the private sessions that were available, and now I am giving you 50% off of the program. You can get it for only $497 only for the remainder of the month of December. For 7 days, you can go to inlovewithpmdd.com, get that program, and use the code PMDD partner, and it's going to help you in your PMDD relationship. So let's get into today's episode. We got this. I love you. Welcome to part 2 of the 24 lessons that I learned in 2024 about PMDD relationships. So let's just jump right into it. We're going to go to number 13, which is who you allow into your space and your life will impact your PMDD symptoms. This is one of the biggest lessons that I learned because a lot of times when you are thinking that your partner is causing your premenstrual dysphoric disorder, your partner is causing your PMDD, or they're making your symptoms worse, it really is just a matter of how they are impacting you while you are already experiencing premenstrual dysphoric disorder symptoms. So it's not that your partner is causing you to have PMDD, but it is a situation where your partner could cause your symptoms to be worse. And so this is something that I really had to learn when I was choosing who I was allowing back into my space, back into my life in 2024. And I had to be very selective, specifically when I was in my luteal phase, of who I was allowing into my space, who I was allowing to have access to my energy. And what I mean by that is, who was I focusing on? Who was I paying attention to? Who was I leaning into? Who had access to my emotions? Because premenstrual dysphoric disorder plays with your emotions, right? So if you're allowing inconsistent people, if you're allowing abusive people, which is why I did the other episode, if you're allowing these types of individuals into your life while you are in your luteal phase, it is going to make your PMDD symptoms worse. And so this is why you can start to think that your partner's the enemy or they're causing you to have PMDD and all of these things. It's because they're exasperating your symptoms. So you have to be very selective during your luteal phase. During your follicular phase, I'm pretty sure that you're like me, where you can kind of take a little bit more of it. Like, you can make excuses for people. You can kind of deal with a little bit more um, behavior that's just not desirable, right? You have a little bit more patience, or a lot more patience. But in the luteal phase, like, you don't have that level of patience. You're already kind of hyper vigilant. You're already kind of on edge. So when your partner does something, or someone that you allow in your space does something, it makes your symptoms a lot worse. And so what I had to learn to become for myself is a gatekeeper, right? So think of yourself as, you have a receptionist at the front desk, and you're the CEO of you, and someone's coming into your company and they're wanting to see you. They're wanting to talk to you. They're wanting to spend time with you. They're wanting your energy. They're wanting your conversation. They're wanting all these things while you are in PMDD. And you have to be a gatekeeper, meaning that gatekeeper is the receptionist at the front desk. They're asking the questions that will determine if they make it back into your office, right? So just imagine, like, you're in the back office. You can see the receptionist in the front, and they're asking the person the questions. These are some of the questions that I have to ask people when it comes to, am I going to allow them in my space when I'm in my luteal phase? It's okay, what are their intentions? What is the pattern with this person? That's very important to recognize, because a lot of people's behaviors are very pattern based, meaning the kind of interaction that you're probably going to have with this person because it's pretty much the same all the time. If they triggered you last month in PMDD, the likelihood that they're going to trigger you again in PMDD this month, unless you're doing any work on it, they're probably going to trigger you again. And then, so when you're asking yourself, okay, what is the pattern with this individual? How do I feel around this individual? So when you're thinking about your partner and you're in your luteal phase, and then ask yourself, how much am I suffering right now? Because a lot of times you only have the capacity to handle your partner based off of the realms of suffering that you're already going through. If you're already suffering deeply in PMDD, you may not have the energy in that moment to interact with your partner at that time. Not saying that you're never going to talk to them, you're never going to spend time with them, but if you don't have it in you, you forcing yourself to do so is going to cause you to lash out, to go off on PMDD rage because you're already triggered, you're already overwhelmed, and they're just going to add on to that. So ask yourself that question. Do I have the capacity to be in interaction with my partner right now? And it's okay if you don't. And if you're feeling like, I know what I used to do is when I knew that I was going to be around my partner because we were long distance and I knew that there were certain issues in certain ways that, he could trigger me, I would have to like get myself ready to be around my partner. It wasn't something where I could just throw myself into that situation. If I was already triggered and overwhelmed because I was in PMDD and I was suffering with symptoms, I had to prepare myself before I went into interaction with my partner, because on the times that I didn't, I immediately was already hyper vigilant. You could feel that my energy's off. So when you are around your partner, they can feel if your energy is already off. If you're already suffering in PMDD, you already have anxiety, you already have depression, your mood is already down. Your partner can feel that. They can feel your energy. That's why it's called an intimate relationship. They're very close to you. So if your energy's off, they're going to be able to feel it. And for a lot of partners, it's triggering for you to be in PMDD because they can feel that you're off and it makes them off. When they see you and you're looking down, like literally like you're looking depressed or you're looking like you want to just isolate or you're looking like you're not happy to see them, that can be a trigger for them. So you need to, and that can be a trigger for you. So the fact that they're triggered by the state that you're in can re-trigger you. So you have to ask these questions as the gatekeeper and just say, do I have the capacity to be in interaction with my partner right now? And if you don't, then don't. Take some space, go to the store, go get your nails done. Go watch a show on Netflix, go listen to music, go get yourself prepared in a state to where you're not going to re-trigger your partner and thus re-trigger yourself and make your symptoms worse. And so number 13, yeah, 13, no, 14. If your partner drains you, 9 times out of 10, you're avoiding issues that you have with them. So this is why you need to get the counseling sessions weekly, because if you're feeling like just being around your partner is draining you, it's because you're already drained by your partner. Their energy is draining you. And it's just a reminder of things that you really have to deal with that you've been avoiding. Maybe you're in a situation where you're going around the house and you guys are doing different things and you're not really addressing the elephant in the room. You're not addressing that you have issues with the finances. You're not addressing that you have issues with the parenting, the blended family. You're not addressing that you have issues with something that they said to you last week and they haven't apologized, or that you felt like when they did apologize, they were only doing it just to get over it. Like that, when you feel like your partner is draining you, when it's just being around them, it's just like, ugh, that's because there's unresolved issues that you have with your partner. And it doesn't feel good being around your partner when you have those unresolved issues. So the way that you can get rid of that feeling that your partner is draining you is actually be vulnerable and be open, have those private sessions, get those counseling sessions where you're really addressing the real issue. Because what happens is when a lot of the partners, both partners that have PMDD and don't have PMDD, when they're coming on the session, they're saying a lot of things that they haven't said to their partner because they're saying it because they know it's a safe place. If they know if they said it on their own, they're going to end up in a fight. They're going to end up in an argument. They're going to end up saying things that they're going to regret later on. They're going to end up with one of the partners shutting down. And so they decide to have the PMDD partners counseling sessions every single week to get out the things that they don't feel safe to say on their own because they don't want to do more damage to the PMDD relationship. It's not that you can't have the conversations on your own. It's just, the pattern of when you've tried to bring up things in your PMDD relationship, how it's ended up. And so it's causing you to have a little bit of hesitation. So you start avoiding the things. You think that, oh, okay, well, I'm just not going to say what's really bothering me. But what happens is their energy starts to drain you because it's so hard for you to hold that in. It takes energy to hold in things and to hold back from saying the things that you really feel. This is why my program, My Partner Has PMDD Now What, is helping partners to not have to walk on eggshells. And that's exactly what you're doing. You're walking on eggshells. And this could be the both of you. When you don't feel like you can openly say what's really going on, you're tiptoeing around the things that you're saying to your partner because it's like, I don't want to trigger them. I don't want to be the cause. I don't want to be the bad guy. If we get in an argument, they're going to remember that I was the one that brought it up. And so the way that you can get around feeling like your partner is draining you is to really address the issues that are genuinely bothering you and let your partner address the issues that are bothering them by getting those counseling sessions every single week because things come up. I know in my PMDD relationships, things were coming up every single day because you have the thoughts in your head. And then you're like, okay, well, what do I think about this? And what does this mean? And you have to really get rid of them. And the way to get rid of them is to get that clarity. And so, the next lesson that I've learned is address your triggers with your partner immediately, the lowest level before they build up. This is something that I tell a lot of my private clients. As soon as you get triggered by your partner, address it and address it in a way where you can be loving. Always be loving when you're addressing the issues, because if you wait until you've been triggered and you've been holding it in for what I call 40 days and 40 nights, then by the time you talk about it, you're going off on them. And it's not necessarily about the most recent thing, it's about all of the other things that you've been holding in. So when you address your triggers immediately, there's a lot of fear. There's a reason why you're not immediately just talking about your issues with your partner. And I want you to think about that. If you've gotten to a place where you're feeling like you cannot be open and just say what it is that you need to say to your partner, there's a lot of fear there. And when you have a fear of addressing your issues, you're training yourself cognitively to not talk about the issues that you have with your partner because you're feeling like if I talk about these issues when I'm in my luteal phase, I can't control my reaction. I may go off on PMDD rage. I may say and do things that I'm going to regret later on. And then I'm going to have all this guilt. So you're thinking that the right thing to do is to just hold everything in and not really address the issues that you have with your partner. But what's happening is you're actually making your premenstrual dysphoric disorder symptoms worse by holding it in because it takes energy to hold in things from your PMDD partner. It takes energy to not say things that you really want to say. I've literally seen individuals literally start twitching, like they're literally just holding in so much anger in their body. They're holding in so much fear in their mind. And what happens is the next tool that we're going to talk about, or the next lesson that I learned, is you have to have faith over fear when it comes to PMDD every single month. There's a lot of anxiety that you're going to go off, that you're going to say things, that you're going to do things that are out of character. So there's a lot of fear there, and that energy turns into anxiety. And so what I mean by having faith over fear is choosing to have faith and believe, even if I went off on my partner last month, even if I didn't handle the situation very well last month, I've learned things, I've learned tools, I've listened to this podcast and I've learned things. And I have faith that the next time that I'm in this situation with my partner, I'm going to handle it better. That's what I mean. You have to believe that you have the capacity to handle things better. In order for these tools to work, you have to believe that you can put yourself in a situation and you can handle it differently next time, that you can do better. If you always believe that you're going to be stuck in this pattern of handling situations with your PMDD partner in a way that causes damage to your relationship, you're never going to be able to get past the things that you've done in the past. You're going to be beating yourself up. You're going to be saying, I'm a monster. You're going to be saying, I think I'm going crazy. You're going to be talking about your partner and saying that they're abusive. You're going to be focusing on blaming and criticism and all of these things instead of just having faith that I'm doing the best that I can. And next time I'm going to handle the situation better. So that's the next lesson that I learned is you have to have faith in order for these tools to work. Otherwise, you're just listening to something and you're like, yeah, but I'm going to do the same thing next month, Dr. Rose, or it's my relationship is always going to look like this, or it's always going to feel like this. And then when you have that fear, then it's going to be like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So when it actually happens, then it's like, it's no surprise. It's no surprise to your nervous system because you've been feeling like it's going to be ending in a negative way. And then when it happens, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Of course, your relationship sucks this month because you're believing that your relationship is going to suck this month because there's been months in the past where it's been horrible, or you've been in this really place where you just feel stuck, where you're having months and months and months and weeks and weeks and weeks of the same things, the same issues that are happening in your PMDD relationship. And you're thinking that this is how it's always going to be. So you have to have faith that it's going to get better. The next tool that I've learned in 2025 or 2024 is depression comes from deep oppression. When you're feeling depressed, you're really feeling like you're holding a lot of things in. And what needs to happen in these situations is you need to allow the issues to be uncovered. So what I mean by oppression, it's that you've been holding things in so much that you become depressed, that you become hopeless, that you become helpless, that you're feeling like there's nothing more that you can do. Your relationship is always going to be like this. And this is what's causing the depression. This is what's causing you to feel like your relationship is always going to be like that because it is depressing. So if you've had really hard months in PMDD, and I've been there before where it's been like 3, 4 months, and then you're going into another month, it's depressing to feel like, I have only had one good week and then we're going right back into it. I'm not happy with things that are going on with my partner. My partner's not happy with things that are going on with me, and it's depressing. And so it's that deep oppression of how you're really feeling. You're holding it in and you need to uncover it and just deal with it. Deal with the issues that you have with your partner so that the next month can get better. You have to uncover what's really going on to get rid of that depression, because the more that you're stuffing it down, the more depressed that you're going to feel. So the next lesson that I've learned in 2024 is PMDD left untreated will actually ruin your relationship and your life. And what I mean by left untreated, it means that when you are going into your luteal phase and you're going into PMDD, you don't have a system in place to deal with your premenstrual dysphoric disorder symptoms. And what I mean by that is you don't have an outlet to talk about the intrusive thoughts that you are going to have about your PMDD relationship and your partner. This is why I have the PMDD monthly sessions with the partners, because you need that outlet to really talk about the things that are going to happen in your PMDD relationship. So it's not a matter of trying to avoid the issues and make the issues that you're having in your relationship go away. It's having an outlet to process the emotions that are going to come up in PMDD. So what happens is when you leave your PMDD untreated, what I mean by that is you get those intrusive thoughts, you get that PMDD anxiety, you get those PMDD triggers, and you don't have anything to do about it. You don't have any outlet. You don't have any process. You don't have any tools that you're actively doing on a monthly basis to help manage the way that you react to your premenstrual dysphoric disorder symptoms. And so the next lesson that I learned in 2024 is decentering your partner is key in PMDD. This was really hard for me because, and I've had to do this in the dating realm. What I mean by decentering them is not making everything in your luteal phase about your partner. It's not all about your partner. You need to take your partner off this pedestal of feeling like everything is about them. Because when you're so hyper focused on your relationship, what happens is you put yourself on the back burner, and then you start to feel like, I think they're mad at me. I think they're mad at me, or I think they think this, and I think they think that. And you start overthinking in your mind about your PMDD partner and your relationships, and it makes your anxiety worse. The overthinking and the intrusive thoughts are so huge when you're in PMDD, when you're in a relationship, and even when you're dating. This can be when you're in your luteal phase and you're dating and you're like looking at the text messages. Oh, I think he meant this by this. And I went through that where I was going through a lot of overthinking, and I had to just get to this point where I decentered the people that I was dating, and I had to decenter my partner when I was in the relationship, because it was overwhelming to always be thinking and talking about my partner. It's not all about them. A lot of it had to do with me. A lot of it had to do with I was already feeling insecure. I was already feeling like my self-worth was going down, and I had to recognize sometimes a lot of the intrusive thoughts that you're having it has a lot to do with you and not really your partner. So a lot of times when you're talking to your partner and you're like, I thought, when I get in these counseling sessions and they're saying, I thought you were mad at me because you text me this way, or you didn't text me, or you didn't hold my hand, or you didn't say that you love me before you left. And that has everything to do with you and nothing to do with your partner. Your partner could just be preoccupied with something that they have going on. And so when you bring it up or you finally talk about it, they're like, no, I wasn't mad at you, or I didn't think this thing about you. But a lot of times PMDD will tell you those stories in your mind of, oh, your partner's doing this because of this, and they're doing this because of that. And it's just not true. And when you get clarity on that, the way that you can stop overthinking the things that your partner is doing and looking at them and making them feel like they have to walk on eggshells and overanalyzing every single thing that they're doing is you have to decenter them, take them off the pedestal, put the attention on you, put the focus on you, and not so much about your partner. Because when you start, like, I used to do this where I was just sitting on the couch and I'm like looking at my partner. I know if you've been in PMDD, you've done this too, where you're just looking at them, just living their life. And you're making up stories in your mind about all the things that they're doing. And they're just they're just doing this and they're doing that. And you're like, oh, they didn't come over here and give me a hug. They didn't give me a kiss. Oh, that must mean that they're not attracted to me. Oh, they didn't hold my hand when we got out the car. Oh, that must mean that they don't love me. Or maybe they're thinking about somebody else. Like all of these things will start happening in your mind because you've centered your partner. You've made them the center of your universe. And it's causing you to have even worse PMDD symptoms, right? So decentering them is giving your partner the freedom to live their life without feeling like everything that they're doing has to be a personal attack on you. It's when I got to this point of getting unoffendable. Like I'm not going to let the things that this person that I'm dating is doing or this person that I'm in a relationship with is doing make me get offended. Maybe if they didn't call me, if they didn't text me, if they didn't do whatever I thought that they should be doing, maybe it has everything to do with them and nothing to do with me. That was one of the mantras that I used. I said their actions have everything to do with them and nothing to do with me. If they don't call me today or if they don't text me, that has to do with them. Maybe they're busy. Like stop over analyzing everything that your partner is doing and make it's causing you to suffer even more. And a big way of doing that is you have to get clarity. Like I said before, if you really feel like this person is doing something to cause you to suffer, ask them. Instead of overthinking it in your mind and making up the story, ask them, hey, when you didn't text me the other day, I focus on you, make it about you. I felt this way. I felt rejected, or I felt like you weren't thinking about me, or I felt like this. Is that what's really going on? And then have them get clarity on it so they can be like, no, I actually was busy with this and this, and give them the benefit of the doubt. Decentering them is giving them the opportunity to live their life and give them grace. Just because they haven't done something doesn't mean that they're trying to cause you to suffer in PMDD. And the next lesson that I learned is PMDD will attack your identity. It will attack the core of who you are. It will make you forget who you are. If you've gone off on your partner in PMDD rage, you may feel like I'm such a monster, or I feel like I'm going crazy, or you're saying all these negative things about yourself because of how you've operated in PMDD, and you start to feel like that's the new version of you. I guess maybe I am the bad guy. Maybe I am this horrible person, and you start to question who you are. You have to remind yourself of who you are. Like on The Lion King, I always say, I always go back to that. I love that part of the movie where Simba went down to the lake with Rafiki, the monkey, and the monkey was like looking to the pond, and he was like, remember who you are. Like Mufasa said to him, if you were to go back and listen to the movie, Mufasa was like, you have forgotten who you are. And he was like, no, because I've been so this. And he was being so hard on himself. He was beating himself up about all of the things that he didn't do. And that's what we do in PMDD. We beat ourselves up about how we're showing up in the relationship. We beat ourselves up about what we haven't done for our partner, or the way that we talk to our partner, or the things that we've done, or when we're feeling depressed and we're not having enough energy to go out with them. And maybe they want to go out and you're feeling like they deserve to be with a person that does want to go out. Like you're beating yourself up and you're forgetting all of the amazing qualities about yourself. So the lesson that I learned is you have to remember who you are. You have to remember those amazing qualities that you have. And the way that you can do this is make a list of all of the reasons and all of the ways that someone would be lucky and blessed to have you as a partner. This is how you remember who you are in PMDD, and don't let PMDD attack the core of who you are. So pause this. If you're driving, just jot it down. Just remember that this is an activity that you can do, and then you have to do on a monthly basis. I genuinely have to do this every single day that I'm in my luteal phase. I do it in my PMDD partner's morning routine. I remind myself of who I am and how lucky and blessed individuals are to even have access to me, to have access to my energy, even when I'm in my luteal phase, even when I'm in PMDD. And I don't mean doing this in an egotistical, a narcissistic way, but I'm saying it's going to attack the core of who you are and make you have low confidence, low self-worth, because you're going to be thinking about all of the ways that you show up or you don't show up when you're in PMDD. So if PMDD is attacking the identity and the core of who you are, remind yourself of who you are in PMDD. And the next tool that I've learned, the lesson that I've learned, is you have to be willing to be the bad guy to make good decisions in your life. I remember when I made the decision about my breakup with my ex, there was this big argument that we were having. And he said to me, just so we're clear, you're the one that's divorcing me. You're the one that's breaking up with me. I just want to be clear about this. And for me, it wasn't about proving a point. It wasn't about the narrative that was going to be told to anyone else. It was about me and the decision that I was making for my life, for how I wanted my life to look in the upcoming years. Because I got to a point where I was like, if I don't make a change, if I don't change something, my life is going to look the exact same a year from now, and that doesn't feel good to me. Because my partner wasn't willing to do the work that I was seeing that was needed, and he was knowing that it was needed. But sometimes people just, if you can't force people. You know how they say you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. You can give your partner the option to have the tools. Like my course, my partner has PMDD. Now what? You can give them the option to have the course. I can provide the course for you. I can provide the private sessions for you. I can't make you do the work. I can't make your partner do the work. I can't make you use the tools. I can provide these tools for you on a weekly basis and pour everything into you, but I can't make you do it. I can't make you make any changes in your life. I can let you know what's going to happen if you don't, meaning your life with your partner is going to look exactly the same next month. If you don't do anything about it, it is going to look exactly the same. And I realized that. And so the lesson that I learned is sometimes you have to be willing to be the bad guy. It wasn't about that for me. I don't have a big ego where it was like, oh, I want to be the one that's look like that. I don't have a victim mentality. I could care less. I said, I will be the bad guy. You have to be willing to do that because you don't have to prove anything to anyone. So you have to get to a point where it's not about proving things to your partner or what it's going to look like to the public or this is your life. You have to decide what you want it to look like. And that was the lesson that I learned. It's not about who's the bad guy, who's the good guy. I don't care what you call me. I literally got to the point. I don't care what you call me. I don't care what you say about me. I'm so sure about the decisions that I'm making that I don't care what you call me. I will be the bad guy. I was willing to be the bad guy to make a good decision for my life, if that's what it took. And it wasn't about convincing anymore. When I got to that decision, I wasn't going to try to convince and beg. And I had done that. I had dragged myself on the ground and lowered my self-worth and been like, oh, I'll do anything. And I had done that for so long. And I was just like, you know what? If I'm the bad guy, I'm the bad guy. But this is the good decision that I know that I'm making for my life. And I had peace with that. And a lot of times when you have peace with the decision, then it doesn't matter what other people say about you. It doesn't matter other people's perception. When you have peace with the decision, that's when you know that you have clarity. So the next lesson that I learned is you have to become unoffendable, and it takes back your power in PMDD. And this was so hard for me. This took me like a good 6 months. And what I mean by that is I used to always get offended by things that my partner said or yeah, things that my partner said. I used to always get offended. And I was noticing that even going into the dating realm, I was still like that. I was like easily offended. Easily offended. You could say something or not say something, and I was automatically offended. I was hurt. The hurtful words were really huge for me. I think I even created a program about that, about the criticism of the hurtful words. And I just wanted to become so unoffendable that it doesn't matter what you say about me, I know about me. And that's when I had to take a journey on my self-worth. That's when I knew that my self-worth really took a hit because when your partner says something to you or somebody that you're dating says something about you, the only way that it can offend you is if part of you believes that it's true. That's the part that really stings because you feel like that person has seen that weakness, that part of you. If your partner calls you selfish, somewhere, if you're offended, somewhere a part of you feels like you're selfish. Otherwise, if you feel like you're not selfish, you're a generous person, then what that person says about you, it doesn't get into your heart. It doesn't pierce you. It just kind of rolls off of your back. You're like, okay. And that's how I became. I became unoffendable, where you could say whatever you wanted to say about me and it didn't bother me. And it took me like a good 6 months to really work on myself. And I've been working with a lot of my private clients on that because a big thing that's been making their PMDD symptoms worse is when their partner says those hurtful words. It's like it sets everything back because then you shut down or then you lash out or then you criticize them and then they get defensive. And there's this cycle of criticism and blame and defensiveness. And the way to get out of that is to just become unoffendable. Like, I don't really, if that's what you think about me, George, that's fine. That's how I was. I was like, okay, like I know me. I know the core of who I am. I don't need you to tell me who I am. And you can't tell me who I am and you can't take away who I am. Your hurtful words do not take away my identity. And so it takes away the power of PMDD. This can even work when PMDD is telling you all these negative things in your mind about who you are. When you become undefendable, you take your power back. When PMDD starts to say, oh my gosh, you're a monster or you're acting crazy. No, I'm not. I'm an amazing person. I'm a lovable person. I'm a loving person. I'm an amazing partner. I'm an amazing person. Somebody will be lucky to date me. Like, this is how you have to talk to yourself when you become unoffendable. So then all of the things that PMDD is telling you in your brain, in your mind, they don't have any, it doesn't hold any weight because you know who you are. This goes back to the other lesson. You have to consistently remind yourself of who you are because PMDD will tell you who you're not. And if you're not sure in your core of who you are, PMDD will shake that foundation. It will shake the core of who you are. It will make you feel like you're a horrible person, even when you're an amazing person. It'll distort your identity in your mind. And then the next lesson that I've learned is control your PMDD brain. Don't let it control you. This is so huge for me that when I was going into PMDD, that I had to literally know when I started to have the intrusive thoughts about my partner or someone that I was dating. I had to take the hold of the wheel because PMDD will take me in a direction that I didn't want to go. When you start to feel yourself veering off into a direction and thinking about a partner a certain way or someone that you're dating a certain way, PMDD will control you unless you take back control. And what I mean by that, and this is why my mantras are so powerful, you have to tell yourself things about your partner and your relationship that are the opposite. They are the antithesis of what PMDD is telling you. This means you not only have to be sure about yourself, you have to be sure about your partner. You have to be sure about your relationship. So that's another reason why I created the program. My partner has PMDD Now What, which is now on sale for the next actually 2 days, like 72 hours, 48 hours left that it's going to be on sale and it's half off right now. Use the code PMDD partner at checkout. And the reason why you have to take control over your PMDD brain is because PMDD will say really negative things about your partner. And if you are already thinking negatively about your partner, then you're just going to start believing everything and it's going to be horrible because you're going to be believing all these things about your partner and there's no coming back from that. Even when, so the reason why I created the course is it gives you something tangible to say, no, my partner is supportive because they're actually investing in themselves and they're investing in our relationships and taking this course. This course gives you something to say back to your PMDD brain when it's telling you that your partner is not supportive, when it's telling you that your relationship sucks and it's always going to be like that. And you're just in this place where you're feeling stuck and it's always going to, no, you can say, no, it's not because we're actively working on our PMDD relationship. We're taking this course or we're having these private sessions. But if you're not doing anything actively to fix your situation, then PMDD is going to control your PMDD brain and make you feel like your relationship is always going to be like this. If you're not happy in your relationship, it's going to be like it's always going to be like, and then you're going to start to feel depressed and be like, oh my gosh, I'm in this relationship that sucks. I have premenstrual dysphoric disorder. I can't get rid of it. It's always going to be like this. I'm out. I need to break up. And then that's what leads to the PMDD monthly breakups. And so the last lesson that I learned, number 24, the 24th lesson that I've learned in 2024 about PMDD relationships is you can lose a good partner for the wrong reasons. I've learned this, I've seen this, I've experienced this. Just because you've broken up with your partner, and I've counseled a lot of clients that have actually broken up with their partner and they could have made it work. They absolutely could have made it work, but one or the both of them went too far. They allowed their PMDD to be untreated. They allowed PMDD to be untreated in the relationship and they went too far. You said something that was so below the belt where you couldn't come back from it. Your partner just, for some reason, they're refusing to forgive you. They can't forgive you for hurtful things where there's been a lot of abusive behavior. And they've had to end the relationship because they've gone too far. And the only way you go too far is when you can feel when you're about to get to that point where it's like you've had a really big blow up with your partner and you're like, oh my gosh, like we barely got through that last one. If this happens again, we're done. If this situation happens again, we're done. I'm not going to be able to deal with this. That's how you can lose a good partner for the wrong reasons. Not because they weren't the right partner for you, but because you allowed PMDD to be untreated in your relationship and it went too far. And when I say PMDD untreated, meaning both partners, the partner who has PMDD and the partner who doesn't, need to be actively working on PMDD if you're in a PMDD relationship. That's why I created the course for the partners. And that's why I have my private sessions for the individuals that are suffering with PMDD. And the next way that you can lose a good partner for the wrong reasons is your partner is just refusing to get help. Like I said, I cannot force you. You cannot force your partner to get help, but you can actually lose a good partner, a good person, because they're refusing to address the fact that PMDD is actually the thing that's causing you to suffer in your relationship. Meaning you're compatible in your follicular phase and all the other times, and now you're just refusing to get help, one or the both of you, and now your relationship sucks, and you're making the decision to either stay in a relationship that sucks or and just saying, I guess this is how it's going to be. One or the both of you are going to get tired of it eventually. It's not sustainable. If it was for a short period of time and it's like, hey, we just need to get through this outing and then we're going to go back and deal with our PMDD relationship issues. But if you don't have a plan in place and your relationship genuinely sucks and you're not happy and you're not getting your needs met and you're walking on eggshells, you can eventually lose a good person, a good partner for the wrong reasons. The wrong reasons is that you're losing them, not because they're not good for you, not because you're not compatible. That's your PMDD brain talking. It's because you guys are not getting help for your PMDD relationship. So if that's something that you know, especially going into 2025, just start fresh. Don't beat yourself up about things that have happened in the past. Start fresh. Get those PMDD relationship reset sessions at inlovewithpmdd.com. Go get this program that it's only going to be 50% off for the next 48 hours, right? And this is why I did this so that you can't even say that price is the issue. I'm making this so accessible for you to get the help. But again, I cannot force you to do it. I can just be here to support you because I want to reduce the suffering that you're having in your PMDD relationships. I want you to get your needs met. I want you to know that you can be in the PMDD relationship that you desire and deserve. So until next week, we got this. I love you. I hope these tools help you and your PMDD partner. If you have not enrolled to get the course, My Partner Has PMDD, now what? Then you want to make sure that you are one of the first 12 individuals that gets the course for the month of December to get that complimentary private session with me. And then after that, it'll go back to regular price without the private sessions. But what this course is going to do for you is give your partner all of the tools that they need on how to be a supportive PMDD partner. What does that look like? I always say that your partner doesn't need more information. They need more implementation. They need more transformational tools. And this is the program for you. So I'm looking forward to you getting those tools in the program. And until next episode, we got this.